Welcome, wonderful souls, to the Human Reset Introduction Masterclass. You were born productive. Let me say that again. You were born productive because most people have actually built an entire identity around the opposite of that. So if you are not following through, if you're procrastinating about things, if you're overwhelmed, it's not because you're lazy, it's because something in your system is just not supported. You were born productive, and productivity is not just about discipline, it's about brain function. So there's this older neuroscience that's called the true brain. The brain has these systems that strongly affect productivity, success, decision making, and emotional stability. Paul MacLean's older model divided the brain into 3 parts. And these 3 parts is described as the true brain, the reptilian brain, which is there right here for survival and automatic responses. Then there's the limbic system in the middle for emotion and motivation and memory. And then there is the neocortex in here, which is the prefrontal cortex for the higher thinking and the executive function. So today's neuroscience explains that this is less as 3 separate brains and more as this interconnected network system. So the practical takeaway is still powerful because when your executive brain functions are actually supported, you think more clearly, you act more intentionally, and you handle life just a little more effectively. These higher order functions are strongly linked to the prefrontal cortex. So it's the part of the brain behind the forehead that helps with self-awareness, and it's important for attention, for self-control and planning, judgment and decision-making, and just emotional regulation, and of course the follow-through. So if your executive brain function is working well, your life just works better. So when the system is underfueled, stressed, overloaded, or dysregulated, you are more likely to experience procrastination and chaos and emotional reactivity, and of course burnout and overwhelm. But when it is supported, you become more focused, intentional, adaptable, and effective. So there are 8 key executive functions that are essential to your success in life. Now you'll be able to download these in the link that's provided. But the 8 key executive functions are: number 1 is self-monitoring. So notice what is happening, within you, and just being able to adjust accordingly. And then there is the task initiation, which is being able to start what needs to be started. And then there is the organization, which is about creating order and systems. And then there is, planning and prioritization, which is about setting goals and knowing what matters most. And then there is working memory, which is about holding and using the information that you already have or previously learnt whilst completing that actual task. And then there is the impulse control, which is about pausing before reacting. And then there is the flexibility, which is about adapting when conditions change. And of course, emotional control, which is about regulating feelings so that they support you rather than actually sabotage you or sabotage your action. So when these functions actually all work together, they create the conditions for a sustainable success. So your brain doesn't respond when it's under pressure. It responds to meaning.